I am live. Hello, YouTube world. It is me again. I know it's been a while. Well, because of certain political issues in this country that I'm sitting in, known as Syria. So, due to the situation in Syria, which is kind of clear what happened, but I think it requires some political analysis to truly understand the magnificence of what occurred, because it's not mind boggling, it's just quite obvious. But people don't see it as they should. Because unfortunately, in this country, due to their rampant idolatry of the prophet and themselves, most likely it's the money that they're really caring about. But your boy is back. This is MFG, Muhammad from God, signing in once again. And we've been working quite hard offline, getting close to God for sure. But I've also been helping a lot of people in the way that I can help a lot of people. But we're also moving towards a goal that is exceptional by God's grace and by God's permission, inshallah. God allows it to happen. And yes, it's our weekly sermon. It is time for our weekly sermon. But I did want to run the stream for a little bit so that people will come. I understand that the algorithm is not going to be very friendly to me because it's been a while. And this algorithm is like how can I say it politely? This algorithm is like a cat. If you don't pay attention to it often, right, it breaks down and cries. So you have to start like really feeding it a lot of attention until it doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. And then when you leave, it gets upset. I don't know how this YouTube algorithm really got put together, but it's kind of stupid because it's actually designed for how can I say it? For well, it kind of makes sense now because of how the world is. It's designed for utmost consumption without making anything into a classic, if you know what I mean. It's like right now, right here, burn it really quick and then forget it in a week. That's how the YouTube algorithm works, which is beyond me. But that's how they're designing the world for you to have this short span, so you can't focus on anything. You can't find meaningful relationships. You can't find meaning in this world because instant gratification. You don't need to work hard, and if you're working too hard, then you have a miserable life because you need to be instantly gratified. But they keep you broke. That's how they keep it. That's how they keep you entertained because you cannot make money unless you work, right? But they don't want you to focus too hard on work. And if you are focusing too hard on work, you're not making that much money. Well, I'm glad that I'm seeing some faces. What's up, brother? How you doing? So, peace. Thank you. I'm glad to be back as well. I don't know if you guys caught my quick stream with brother Grayson there, Grayson Brock. Let me just should I should let me just post this on what's it called? Telegram. How's the audio, by the way? Can you guys hear me well? I'm not sure if it's working nice. But yeah, today we do have an interesting episode, to say the least. But let me just make sure that everything is working fine. Can someone just comment on the audio is okay? Is it too loud, too low? Can you let me know? I don't want to be too annoying. It seems like it just keeps lowering itself. Is this better by any chance? It seems like it's just like trying to fix yourself. Peace, brother. Peace to you as well. Cool. Cool. All right, let me just do this. Man, do you see how people are breaking down on Andrew Tate now? The Sunnis are not very happy with Andrew Tate because Andrew Tate seems like he's not a Muslim. I've been telling you that for the last 2 years, but people don't listen because they're so happy, they're so proud when somebody is sitting there like, you know what, recognizing them. There's so many in numbers, but yet they still need recognition from weirdos, ex-pimps that haven't stopped pimping. But I don't know, like I think they're maybe creating a new sect. Andrew Tate might be creating a new sect. You know what that sect is? it's he's a Muslim Catholic. That's his sect. Maybe he's a Protestant, but he's a Muslim Protestant. You fit right there with Hakikachu in that crowd, I promise you. Those people are weird, man. They really are. But they're eating each other online, and it's very clear that Andrew Tate, he's a racist. He keeps associating Muslims with Pakistanis. So when Pakistanis do certain crimes or certain crimes happen in the UK by really weird Pakistani people, he says it's Islamic crime, but he doesn't like to be corrected. So when people say like, "Hey, bro, you can't really say that," he doesn't care because he's the king of the world. But here's what happened, guys. This man got actually bought out by the Zionists, but he just cannot outright say it. So he is going to start to maneuver the world in a way, his world, in a way so that it does support the Zionist regime without him looking like the criminal. Just like how Elon Musk did it, just like how the other weirdo from Amazon was his dumb name. They all see Jeff Bezos exactly. They all like have a way to maneuver what they have under their hands to benefit the Zionist society, but they try to paint themselves as humanitarian, as people who really care for you. They just care for their pockets. That's the actual truth. But what can we do, right? There's a lot we could do. We could speak about it. But with that said, let me just get this shareable link, put it on my Telegram. Those who haven't joined my Telegram, I'll post it soon. Live sermon is starting. Boom. So my Telegram, let me get back to the StreamYard. And surprise sermon. Yeah, it is, brother. Too loud now, brother. Oh, wow. All right. Thanks, bro. I'll put it down. It already went down by itself. What's up, brother Mehdi? It's always nice to see you. Salam, brother. All right. So if you guys are interested in joining my Telegram group, it's right here. It's Our Lord is God, because our Lord is God. That's the Lord that we chose. That's the Lord that we accept, as He is the Lord of everything. He's the Lord of the seven skies. He's the Lord of the land. We are the people who are trying to communicate an image to you, to try to communicate in a way so that it's very precise and it requires very little explanation to what has been said. If I say who is the Lord of the seven skies and the land, that entity that comes to your mind, that is God. But sometimes in your mind, you might put attributes to God that are not supposed to be put to God. Or you might view God as a human God, which again, at that point, you're diminishing the idea of God, which diminishes your personality and who you are. Because that Lord that you're serving is just a weak Lord in your eyes, but truly He's very strong. We can't even imagine His strength nor His power, yet He can make some of us feel powerful in this world. He can actually even give us a leadership position, or even give us a hand on some reins for us to pull around. But with that said, it comes with a responsibility, and it also has to go back to these attributes that God has told us about Himself. So sometimes people hurt you, and it's very nice to get your revenge from people. But God told us that He is very, very forgiving and He's very merciful. So if a person corrects his mistake, there's no need to keep hounding that person on said mistake. What you could do is forgive and move on, and whatever happens next happens next. But the interesting part is that when you do live this lifestyle that God has showed us in the Quran, you have empathy towards people, but your heart doesn't become cold. It becomes insensitive to emotional outbreaks that people that don't love God usually have. So sometimes people look at you, it's like, why are you so cold in these moments? Or why doesn't it feel like you have feelings for things that you should have feelings for? Well, no, I do. I just don't buy into this emotional rhetoric that people like to throw around, especially because they're so concerned for their worldly life and what they're gaining and what they lost. And usually when they lose something, it really burns inside and they want to show it. But God is teaching us through those people and through our own experiences that this concept of losing something is very regretful for a human being. You can feel the burn inside, right? Now imagine this, just me and you. We see heaven being created in front of us. And then you realize, or an angel tells you, or your own actions, it shows you that you're not welcome in this amazing place that you see in front of you. How's that burn inside? That's how hell truly begins. And all of us are going to experience something similar to that before we actually go into hell, except if God saves us. As God says that we're all going to be gathered around hell. And we're all going to see Jahannam in front of us, right? But God then will save the people who are worthy of saving. So these feelings that we see and the way that we interpret the world around us, it's for us to analyze us and our mentality and try to make ourselves as efficient as possible without letting emotions take over us, even though emotions are important. Well, not emotions, but the feelings themselves. So we can feel angry, but we do not need to show that anger. We can hide it, we can conceal it, we can keep it in ourselves because anger causes problems. We all know that, right? But this is not our weekly sermon. This is just me talking to you guys because I haven't talked to you guys in a while. But peace. Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be back. All right, guys. So here's what's happening. Okay. What is Jumu'ah according to the Quran? Jumu'ah according to the Quran is just a congregation, people coming together for the remembrance of God. So they like to say that the fifth day of Friday, seventh, sixth day, I don't know, but they like to attribute the word Friday. I have my good brother and sister, Musa and Yera. They try to avoid the names of the week except the Sabbath or Saturday, well, Sabbath, because then those names are actually named after fake gods. So it's like those deities. So they attributed and they dedicated these days of the week for these gods that got ruined because they're not gods. And it's just kind of like it's disgusting to say those names like Friday or Saturday. Saturday is Saturn's day, but Saturn is not a god, so they called it Saturday, just for them to be happy for Saturn. But so the congregation is one day of the week where believers or submitters should gather and to remind themselves about God. Usually you want to put somebody who is very in tune with the word of God and with the system of God so that they can help express certain things. And thank you for this question, Raza. Yara, peace. Mariam, hello. Peace. Banners, let me hide this. So yeah, thank you for that question, Raza. What we're going to do is literally talk about this weekly sermon. But there is an etiquette in regards to this weekly sermon. I have mine. I tried to put it on this day, the sixth day, seventh. Sabbath is seventh. So sixth day of the week, which they call Friday. And like for example, we have my good brother Baba Shuaib, right, who has been making a lot of airwaves lately, like a lot of waves, tidal waves, on certain sectarians. And it's been interesting to watch, but he has his sermons on Wednesdays. So God is telling us that when a sermon is called, when people are called together to remember God and to talk about God and to also to pray to God, you should drop your entertainment. You should drop your trade, what you usually do in your worldly life, and you should go to the remembrance of God. Now, there is an etiquette for both the listener and there's an etiquette to the person who is supposed to give said sermon or said reminders of God. Unfortunately, in this day and age, because we are a community where we are more so online than offline in regards to us communicating to each other, we don't have a physical location like a mosque for us to get into the physical feeling that comes in a congregation, because it's very important. I apologize. Think of it this way. You might be able to study at home in a certain setting, but in a library, you study better, especially if there's other people around you studying, because it's just like a influence that helps you. Like, let's assume that the library is not loud and people are not laughing and making jokes, that people are serious sitting and studying. It's easier to study that way. Apologize for the noise outside. But that's the whole concept of why we should come to a congregation in the days that God has told us to do so, whenever the group leader, the community leader is calling towards them. Because in these moments when we are together and the person who is leading the congregation, some of us, we do not have the time, nor do we have the resources or the ability for us to really dig deep in the Quran and the language of the Quran and what the Quran is telling us. And therefore, some of us, our jobs in our worldly life is to sit and to really study the word, really grasp what's being said, observe it, witness it, and then we have an obligation to say it to the world. Because if the person has, let's say, a wife and kids, and he has his 9 to 5, and then he comes home tired and he has some stuff he has to do at home. He does not have the privilege to read the word as much as I do, despite he has his prayers, despite he has his time to study the word. But it's not a privilege that everybody has. So God has allowed us, as God says in the Quran, for some of us to really natafaqahu fi din. So for them to really get in tune and study, like the word fiqh, right? Like to really understand the religion so that they could warn their people. And this sermon, this weekly sermon, is a very good platform for the person who is a little bit more in tune with the religion to pass that knowledge on to you for free, because it's supposed to be done for free. But it's also a way for us to get closer to God, because we could think about our week and what has been happening, and we could start discussing certain things in regards to what will happen. It is not supposed to be a political stance to talk about what's going on in the politics or with neighbors and stuff. We can touch upon certain things, but it has to be about God. Now, unfortunately, in the way that Arabs speak, which I find very, 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 very patronizing and too annoying, because they are very dramatic in their way, in their approach. They like to yell. They like to scream and shout to really touch your emotions. I have a very interesting video that I had to endure for like an hour, by the way. Just let's watch this together, so you know what I mean.
يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة لن ينفعك هناك لا بشار ولا زبانية بشار ستقف أمام الواحد القهار.
It's crazy. Because what is he talking about? Bashar al-Assad. Who's he talking to? Bashar al-Assad. He's talking to him directly, right? The ex-president of Syria. Kind of crazy that he's talking about this in a weekly sermon. But the thing is, his voice is so elevated and it was so loud, it was deafening. It was stupid. But you're in a house of God. As God says, you shouldn't enter those houses except while you're scared. There should be some fear in your heart as you're walking in a mosque. Because if you make a mistake or if you're stepping out of line, you're doing it in one of God's houses, right? So you have to talk in a way where it's proper, where it's measured, it's organized, it's thought through, and it has to be delivered in a way that's right. But unfortunately nowadays they just yell at you. That's how they want to make you scared of God, by them making scared of you. But the thing that I really dislike on what they do is at the end of their sermons, right, is what they try to do is they want to give a supplication to God while everybody's around. But they're not supplicating to God. What they end up doing is they're yelling to God. They're demanding God. God, save our kids with your honor. God, help all these Muslims all over the world. You are the greatest. God, please help us in what was going on through now. Guide us with whom you guided. It's like, bro, you're talking to God. Calm down. Calm yourself down, right? So these are things that we need to be aware of on who is presenting to us and why they're presenting what the conversation is. Because if it's not going back to God and we don't realize that we are talking to God while we're talking to you, then there is definitely an issue with the person presenting. And you, on the other hand, you have to understand that this topic here, it's not about your worldly life per se, not about how you're going to make money, not how you're going to succeed with things that are making you happy here right now. This conversation here is for you to get warned, for you to remember, for you to measure yourself, because we all are lacking in something. We all sometimes know what needs to be done and we don't do it. It is because you guys do not listen. Sorry, just had to click in Salafi mode. But thank you. Appreciate it, brother. And it's nice to see everybody again. But yeah, so the point that I was trying to explain is that this sermon is here to help you and to help you judge yourself, to remind yourself of the fear of God, and to get the reminders that should push you for the next week or so. Because one thing that is very important is the concept of taqwa. The taqwa is being aware of God, measuring your actions, but also measuring the actions of the people in front of you. because this is why we are going through this world, and we have to make decisions that are very optimal, that are very efficient. I am putting everybody I meet in the lens of the Quran, and I will treat them accordingly. Some people I have to put them through a strategy is just to either save myself or save them. But if they don't want to save, then that's fine. I've saved myself, because they're tampering with my emotions, they're tampering with my mind, and they're trying to take me away from God. So sometimes you have to kind of give them what they want, but they're not getting what they want, so that they could go crumble and you're standing still, because they're an enemy without you realizing it. Why are they an enemy? They're not choosing to be your enemy, but they just are your enemy, because they're trying to drag you into worldly life desires that do not excel you in your future. So you have to deal with them accordingly, because sometimes it's very difficult for them to listen. It's very difficult for them to comprehend as many times as you said. So as God says, sometimes you have to be harsh. Sometimes you have to leave them in a very nice way. And there's times for you to react based on what the people are giving you. But cutting people off in your life, this is something that needs to be done. I'm not going to say often, but you want to be around believers. You don't want to be around disbelievers, because as God says, those are inviting you to hell while God is inviting you to heaven. So you have to you have to understand that these people are more so going to influence you rather than you influencing them, because nobody influenced you to believe in God. You understand that? That came from yourself by the permission of God who guided you. It is something that comes within. Maybe you heard a word that triggered something, but then it still came within. You understand? There is nobody going to influence you to believe in God. But the beautiful part about being with believers and being steadfast with believers is we elevate each other. So I might be feeling a little tired now, but my brother stood up a prayer. I'm going to go pray despite me. Why? It's because I don't want to seem like I'm lazy when a prayer is being called, right? Now, unfortunately, the verse about the congregations, which is right here, this is in chapter 62. I apologize. In chapter 62, and I'm going to share the screen, I want to show you how the verse ends, or the surah ends, the chapter ends, after I remember how to present this share screen. Akhi, the mustache is too much. Shave it. Nope, not shaving a mustache, bro. Because in this country, they'll think I'm ISIS, bro. I'm not shaving my mustache. Anyways, so this is congregation, right? God says, and when the litany has been concluded, then disperse in the land and seek from the favor of God, and commemorate God frequently so that you may succeed. But when they saw a business or an entertainment, they rushed to it and left you standing. Say, what is with God is better than entertainment and business, for God is the best of providers. So people come here to my sermon, or to Baba Shuaiba's sermon, and other people's sermons, and they're watching, especially if it's a group, a live sermon, but they're focused on entertainment. They might be focused on whatever side hustle they might be having. They might be focused on their studies. They might be focused on certain things. Maybe I'm just the background noise to you while you're doing your day to day. That's your call. But God is telling you clearly here that whatever God has for you is better. So I am calling you towards something that you should be focusing on, that you should be understanding it, and you should be dedicating your time to. Because if you're here to get entertained, well, I'm glad I'm entertaining you, but this is not your objective, is it? Or are you here to find a trade with me, or trade with somebody, or are you here for other reasons other than God? Because if that's the case, then you're failing. And you understand what I mean by failing. And this is something that's going to be witnessed against you on the day of judgment. So you better make sure when you're coming to these sermons, these weekly sermons, that you are dedicating the time that is being dedicated, or allocating the time that needs to be dedicated for you to get the maximum A, understanding, and B, reward with your God. Why? Because you're being sincere to the word of God, you're being loyal to what God said, and you're focusing and you're being dedicated. Now, when the litany, when the prayer has been concluded, we still have to go on our day to day. This is something that I constantly see with the many other groups that have these weekly sermons. Like the Jews, they have maybe once or twice a week, which we know one is on Saturday technically, and then the other one is, I believe, Wednesday. I'm not sure. But then the Christians have their Sundays, and they also have a Wednesday or a Thursday, usually just a small one. And Muslims, the Sunnis and the Shias, they have their Friday. But what do they do after the congregation is done? They go home. They sit. It's a holiday. It's my day off. Why? Because I went to the mosque. It's a lot of work. It's my day off. I've been working hard all week. So now when I went to commemorate God, instead of going to seek his favor, I went home and I sat and put my heads up and I did nothing. So it kind of goes against what God has been telling us to do, right? So we still have to keep working. We still have to keep pushing because we're not people who are looking for a holiday. This is truly the essence of what a believer truly wants. He wants to keep working. I love working. If there's work that needs to be done, I'll work, even if it's for free. If it's something that I understand that will build for my hereafter and I can do something for God right here and now, even if I'm a little tired, I'm going to do it. Why? Because God likes it from me. But God rewards you. Well, how does He reward you? As He said in a verse, that go seek for the favor of God, and therefore that means you're going to work. But you're also going to commemorate God a lot. So you're going to be thinking about God a lot, lest you succeed. Don't you want to succeed? Don't you want people to understand that you're finding success? Guys, I don't work. I've been retired since 2021. I was telling somebody today, I retired with less than $3,000 in my pocket. But in the last month, I gave over 20,000, 22,000. No, a few amount of people donated to me, right? And of course, the rewards of God, and thank you very much. Certain individuals I have a lot of respect and honor for them helping me in my mission. But I also generated some money extremely easily, which I donated most of it. Actually, I didn't keep any of it, much of it. It's some of it's still here, but I still have plans to give it in certain ways and certain things for the purpose of God. Why? Because I commemorate God often. I'm not purifying myself. I'm telling you, I just find myself constantly talking about God with people, despite the relationship, because I understand this system. I love this system. The system is so easy. As God says, He does not make any difficulty in the religion, but the difficulty can come from the mind. You understand me? But when the mind is simple and you understand that God is not a cop waiting for you to get like a ticket, and God has His tolerance, but God is judging you from the inside. You understand me? God is truly judging you from the inside. So these sermons is a good checkpoint for you to see how dedicated you are to your mission with God, or how dedicated you are to building in this worldly life. Is it burden for you to come to the mosque? I mean, like talking to certain cities. Is it a burden for you to go to your church on Sunday? Is it too much for you to sit and listen for somebody for half an hour? Have I been a half an hour? Almost. So it's truly what God is teaching us, but He's teaching us in a way that is extremely beneficial for us if we look at the benefits. Side topic, and then I'm going to start answering questions. Um, I have a lot of questions. So why didn't this is again it's from my pondering. I believe that God does not punish us instantly for our crimes, right? Because if He did, if every person that committed something that wrong felt a pain or felt a punishment right then and there, then they would have to submit unwillingly. They would have to force them. They are forced to submit to God's will so that they would avoid the pain. The reason why God sometimes allows people to keep going or does not give them pain till the end, or their pain can be differently in a different time, is so that the person who wants to submit, he's submitting out of love, out of willingly. Like he's not waiting for the punishment for him to go find his Lord. He's so happy with his Lord that he submitted willingly because the punishment has yet to come. But the interesting part is God says that they will not believe until they see the punishment. You see what I'm saying? So if God was punishing us instantly, right, that means we would be believing almost immediately, and everybody would be guided willingly or unwillingly, and there wasn't really the test. I truly believe in my heart that our test from our Lord is if He wants to know if we love Him or not. Because if you love your father and you have a good relationship with your father, you'll obey him and you will protect him and you'll cry over him and you will do anything he asks you to because you truly love your father. And I believe that's the same with your mother or your boss at work or people who showed you kindness. But is your God, your Lord, worthy of that treatment from yourself? Do you actually genuinely in your heart love this entity that created you? Or is he a burden on you? Or is he someone who wants things from you and you just don't understand why? Is he a something that pesters your mind and it takes you away from these pleasures that you keep finding, and it's almost he's like a blocking to this pleasure and happiness that you could have, but this thought of God kind of scares you, so it kind of like diminishes this taste of evil that you like. Isn't it interesting how when you look at the human psychology, when you see it on both ways, it's just one is really gross and disgusting, but yet they think they're so good because they're so arrogant, while the other side feels so humble and so low because they don't have enough to give because of how much they love their Lord. But then this side that loves their Lord, the Lord, a lot, are the ones who are getting hit by the people who think they're better than them. It's interesting, isn't it? With that said, I do want those who want to stand a prayer after this congregation, if you want to, it's ending right now. So may God bless us all. May God guide us to what is the best. I mean, may God bless us all with his mercy, but may God bless the believers with his mercy and his heaven. And may God, and for whoever is not a believer or a submitter, then you are God's servant and God does what he wants. But with that said, whoever chapter 62 today, that's what I'm going to pray. The chapter called the congregation, so we can reflect upon it. It is very interesting the things that have been laid out in that very short chapter. God talks about the importance of the Gentile prophet first, how he helped guide people from the darknesses to light with the book of God, obviously. And then God talks about the people who are given the Torah, but they did not carry the Torah, and they're just like donkeys, right? And it's funny, some people nowadays, I'm not talking about the Quran alone because I understand, I mean, the hypocrites within the group, let's say it that way. Some people don't want to pray, but some Sunnis, like, let's say that they pray 5 times a day, but yeah, you call some of them, it's like, hey, isn't it time for you to pray? They do look like donkeys, in my opinion, because they go, oh, okay, yeah, it's time for the prayer. Like, bro, relax. You're the one who keeps saying it's 5. But so yeah, God talks about the Jews and how they didn't upkeep their part. And then he talks about death, and that death is coming. And then all of a sudden now he's talking about the congregation. So this it's not a random, there is no random thought to a random thought to a random thought. There is a connection on how God sent the prophet to help guide people to God through the book of God, right? And then he gave an example of people who failed to follow the guidance of God. And he said the importance of the congregation. Because if you fail to see the congregations, you're not going to be able to pick up the book of God. I'm telling you this. Whether you accept it or not, in this day and age, we have a different way of congregating, which is online. So I understand a lot of people like to consume a lot of YouTube or consume a lot of videos of people that know what they're saying, and they consume also videos of people that don't know what they're saying. But this is true as well for the people who go to mosques and hear whatever daddy in the mosques keeps telling them, right? And the same thing in the church and synagogues. So make sure you do give some time to God, and make sure you put somebody who is knowledgeable. I enjoy listening to Baba Shwai. Okay, I don't. He teaches me in certain things, but I also have my own path. I'm not here always trying to. How can I say it? I'm not here as a student or a follower of Baba Shwai. I'm a person who follows the Gentile prophet, and Baba Shwai follows the Gentile prophet, but Shuaib is also a community leader, so I have to support him. And there's things where he's right, and there's things where I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, we're focusing on the same mission, so we don't let little things get in between us. But when hypocrites want to attack my brother, I'm going to get you. That's the bottom line. But that said, I appreciate the people who stood by. Let's start. Let's start asking questions. But I just saw a question that took me off a little bit. Here's an interesting question, brother. Does suicide take you to Jahannam, to hell? Okay, So most of the time, yes, if you kill yourself, you killed yourself out of oppression, you oppressed yourself, you murdered yourself at that point. Murder is something that is not right. If you don't have a right to kill somebody, you don't have a right to kill yourself. See what I'm saying? And you should never have the right to kill yourself because God has given you a certain time that you need to live. So this time that you need to live, this is your natural clock. At a certain time, your kidney will stop working, your heart will stop working, your brain will have some issues, your lungs will have issues, and you naturally die. That's everybody has that clock. Sometimes you get hit by a train, your life got ended shortly. Sometimes somebody puts a bullet to your head, your life gets ended shortly. But whoever put a bullet in your head, if they didn't have a right to do so, they are going to have to answer for the time that they stole from you, right? And aside from that, if you kill yourself, that means you took your own judgment instead of God judging what you can bear and what you cannot bear. And as God says that He will not burden the soul except what it can handle. So I understand some people have some really difficult lives. That suicide is always an option in their mind that they want to employ just because of to get rid of the pain. But there are ways to stop the pain in changing the way that you think. Some people I really appreciate, they're very good at numbing the world around them so that they don't feel numb, yet they're ready to kill themselves right now. But they don't do it is just because now they understood how to live with this darkness that they have because they want to find God in the end. It gets really close to certain people, and those people, there is a way to try to talk to them, but there isn't much talking to them. It has to come from themselves. Those are the genuine people. There's people that cry for attention, like, oh man, my life is difficult, I'm going to kill myself if you don't. Those people, they have a different way of thinking. You have to deal with them. There is an exception. There is an exception for those people who ended up killing themselves, where God does give them a leeway out. So God says that for those that want to kill themselves, from what I understand, is you should go travel, because the situation that you're in and the place that you're in is causing you, the environment that you're having is causing this pain for you to want to kill yourself. Maybe it's the people around you, maybe it's the lack of opportunity. There's a lot of reasons why someone wants to kill themselves. So God says travel through the land. Okay, not like, doesn't mean like you get on a plane, you get in a different country, you sit in a room and you go back to exactly what you're doing. No, it means to travel through the land. You go from place to place. So just start traveling, start walking, start hiking, start going from a location. Just don't put a destination in mind. Just start walking to a place. And when you want to sleep, you go back to your home and sleep. Travel through the land. But God says that there's some people that were not capable of traveling through the land, that it was really difficult for them. And then they ended up killing themselves because of how much pressure they were under. God may forgive those people, may forgive those people. But that's not something that you should put in your mind like, hey, maybe God could forgive me. You should not. Suicide should never be an option for the believer. It could be a thought. It could be an enduring thought. It might be a thought that you need to keep battling for the rest of your life, but it should never be an option. Understand what I'm saying? So that's what I believe about suicide. Do you agree that free will doesn't exist? Free will exists, Brother Al Mansour. You get to pick. Oh, wait, here we go. I think, no, it's not him. Hi, can you cite me a verse beside 2170 about follow what God ordered instead of what you found your parents, elders, and masters doing? There's a few verses that God says that. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قَالُوا بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ مَا أَلْفَيْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. So there's a few verses where God says that. I can give you some verses. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ ما أنزل أنزل الله يدعوهم شيء. So I think another one would be, sorry, my internet is a little weird. It's right here. That would be 31:21. I'll take you it right now. This is where God says that, like, even if the devil was telling them follow me, they would still follow him pretty much. I'll show you. Up, 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 up. At the stage. Here we go. Right. And when they are told, follow what God has revealed, they say, rather, we follow what we found our fathers upon. What if the devil was inviting them to the punishment of the inferno? Right. So there are verses where this is oftenly repeated. I'm sure there's another one that there is one more, I believe in chapter 3 or chapter 4, in saying something along the same lines. So yeah. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. It is not automatically guaranteed to hell ticket. No one knows what's inside the person. Correct, but I am not, when I say, okay, so when we're making judgments, it does not mean that we're making the final judgment if somebody's going to hell or somebody's going to heaven. But God sent us the book for us to make a judgment. Do you see that this person is worthy of heaven, or do you see this person worthy of punishment for what they're doing to others? If you go on the other side, that you believe that this person is not a good person and they're going to a punishment, they still have the opportunity to repent. They still have the opportunity to change. It does not mean it's your decision or it's the final decision. You just judged with what God said in the book. But you don't go outright and say to him, oh, you're going to hell. Unless if you're extremely sure, you can't put that judgment on people. But why are you making that judgment? For you to know how to react with said people, because God is telling you how to react with such people. And it's the same with the other side. So if I see somebody who's really caring about God, who's trying, they might have some issues with their akida. I always take that in English. It sounds like a martial arts. Their akida. So they might have some issues with their theology, but they're genuinely good people. God tells us to nubashirhum. So we like give them good tidings, glad tidings. We be nice to them. But the people who are very rude or don't like God, or the concept of God doesn't scare them, or being reminded of God doesn't scare them, and they just constantly lie and stuff. No, those people I have to be a little bit harsh with. Those people I have to put them in their position if they want to go at me. I have to admonish them. I have to warn them because that's my position. Am I going to control them? No. Am I going to cast them to hell? It's not my job. But are they going to hell? In my judgment, I believe so. That's normal. That's why God sent this book. That's what I think. So God said those that kill themselves, the angels are going to say, why did you oppress yourself? You're going to hell, except those that didn't have an option out. All right, let me go up and then we'll go down. Audio is okay. Jabril, salam, salam. ATV, peace, brother. G Unit, sup, brother. I believe we must strive to find the root of our preconceived notions on an individual level. When they come from our evil inclination, or do they come from our empathy to understand things? Wow, you hit me with a deep one. We must strive to find the root of our preconceived notions. I don't think they're preconceived. I think they're programmed notions. So preconceived is preconception, right? But I believe these are nature, maybe, no, sorry, that's nurture rather than nature. There are the innate things that we have on inside us that's not going to be changed. But I think the things that God does not like from us, those I think are taught by the environment rather than internal. I think we were created good, as God says, and then we were put below the lowest. So, except those that believed, right? So, do they come from evil, from our evil inclinations? Us as human beings, we have this little bit of power, and it seems like power is something that is very corruptive. So, a lot of people that have this little part of what God has put in us, which is part of His soul, we have this little bit of freedom for us to have a little bit of power of creation, judgment, decisions. We're not like an animal. We're not built upon impulse. We get to have deeper thoughts. We can have analysis, and then we can play a domination game that is different than what animals do, because animals is just matter of strength rather than mind. But here you can have a very scrawny person run the world. Why? Because he's intelligent in the way that he dominates his opponents. And it is still always a game of dominance, right? But for a believer, the dominance is not so much of overcoming your opponent, like overcoming your brother, but more so trying to find a common ground where you, in what God has given you, you're capable of living happily side by side. But with that said, are we evilly inclined naturally? I think it's, again, based upon our nurture. So was Jesus evilly inclined? I don't believe so. Was Muhammad evilly inclined? I don't believe so. I do believe we have some evil thoughts, but a person who's evilly inclined will technically follow those thoughts easily because they've followed it at a young age. But some of us would be able to block said thoughts, and therefore it does not become habitual, but it might become an intrusive thought. And those intrusive thoughts, أعوذ بالله من الوسواس الخناس, at that point, right? So, do they come from empathy? Not everybody has empathy. The majority of the world don't have empathy. That sort of raising one's voice could give heart attacks. Salam, brothers. Salam, 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 salam. What do you think is the book in the Quran? It's the judgments. It's what God is showing as judgments. Salam alaikum, everyone. Good to see you as well, brother. I've read a lot of Dr. Sean, Dr. Little, Dr. Ahmed about pre-Islamic origins, hadith, the Christians' polemics have. Well, I don't like the word pre-Islamic. Pre-Islamic is non-existent, not a human being. But I understood what you meant. Bro, trim the beard. No, I ain't trimming the beard. Leave my beard alone, bro. You literally look like a radical and extremist with the beard. And this is why people respect me. Because they when I go into a room, okay, so here, yeah, I get that a lot, actually. So when I go into a room, the people who are trained, so government officials, security agents, police, but because they're trained, they could see from the look of my eyes, I'm not a threat. They're usually very kind to me, usually, other than if we have to go back and forth of how they're treating other people. But they could see that I'm not a threat because there's a certain look that terrorists have, especially if you're in intelligence or you're working with certain government factions. You could see somebody who's brainwashed. It's easy to tell. And you could even see the brainwasher because of just the way that they observe the room. So they see that I'm not a threat. They're very nice to me. They're kind to me, and they show me respect because they could tell that I know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. So they let me be 90% of the time. But now when it comes to this country, yes, the people have a very bad take on a beard like this, but it almost instantly demands respect because the person in front of me is always judging me. Is this man a religious man? Is this man a mafia guy? Is this man ISIS? Is this man Hezbollah? Okay, but he does have his mustache, so he can't be ISIS. Okay, but he's here there's no more Shia here, so he can't be Hezbollah. Is he a religious man? Well, he's a little weird, like he's a little dark, too dark for religious man. So what is he? So they just automatically respect you just because they don't want to get in trouble. But then as soon as I talk to them and if I open up with salam alaikum or something that they see from the tone of my voice, everyone just relaxes very quickly. SubhanAllah, this beard has helped me get respect very quickly in a very short time. It's just because it is, as you said, people are scared of it. I'm not scaring you. You're the one who's scared. But I ain't trimming it. My name is Ahmed al-Baghdadi. Bro. Peace, JS. Sup, sis? Muhammad, do you think the same Jumu'ah congregation could be applied to all deliveries? Yes. Yes, 100%. These are all congregations. Every single religion that is from God has one day of the week for God. It's very simple. Assalamu alaikum, akhi. I was in Syria. I was in Syria, bro. Man, by the way, there's no electricity right now. They're running off a generator. I don't know if you could hear the generator. This country, I don't know how to say it without swearing. That's the issue. Okay, so I've traveled in the Middle East a lot. Okay, I went to many countries and Egypt, which is still Middle East, but that's how far I went in North Africa. So I'm not making a judgment per se on North Africa because I'm not very aware of it there. But when it comes to the Middle East, there's two countries that are super difficult to deal with. Okay, they are super difficult to deal with. Number one on the list, like the highest on the list, Syrians. Syrians are extremely difficult to get to them, to like make them understand something. And number two on the list, Egyptians. Those two people, they have an art on how to lie. And if you tell them that they're lying, like, bro, You clearly lied here. You said this, and now you said that. That is a lie. You understand it? You lied here. They will, like, they're very dramatic. They'll break down. How dare you? I I am a person who fears God. I have been praying my whole life. It's like, bro, it's a simple thing. Just admit you lied and we move on. How dare you? You knew me from, like, bro, just calm down. It's not a Turkish drama. Just relax. You clearly lied. No, you misunderstood. And they will go for on and hours. You can walk down the street. Okay. You can walk down the street in Egypt. You can make up a name of a pharmacy that does not exist. Let's say like the pharmacy of uh, Abu Shahata, right? Like, father of a sandal. So you go to a guy and be like, hey man, someone said that there's a pharmacy here, Abu Shahata. Do you know where it is? He goes, oh yeah. You just keep walking straight, not the first right, the second right. It should be right there. Okay, man. Have a nice day. Like, bro, no, you're just making that up. You could say that you don't know. It's okay. You could say that you don't know, but apparently everybody needs to know everything because it's a sign of weakness if they don't know. And if they get caught as liars, this is even worse. They're such difficult people to deal with. I'm telling you, cool, they got freed. Now they have the weirdo Bashar gone. Hope he goes to hell. Whatever. But the people themselves, they just cannot govern themselves. They just really are full of lies. They're full of manipulations. They're hateful to each other, and they're all complaining about how bad the society is. But bro, you're the problem. Like, you guys are the problem. Like, they fought for freedom. They don't know what freedom is. They're turning into an Islamic state, similar to how Egypt was. For them to say, you know what, like for the West to say, nope, this is not going to happen with us. So what you're going to do now is going to have someone like Sisi and just get destroyed. Syria is in a very difficult spot, but they really don't listen. So that's all I got to say. All right, there's a lot of questions. I apologize, guys. The verse 13:11 shows that your circumstances in life won't change unless you change within. Correct. This is very correct. Within as inner and outer type things. It depends on what's the problem, but usually you have to change what's within you, because the outer, I believe, is a reflection to what's inside you. Brother, does suicide? Okay, we asked this question. Do you believe in dua? Do you believe that dua for the dead is actually something that should be done, such as the verse 9 in the Quran translate the word mata as dying, mata instead of died, yamut, mata. That could be an error. I would have to run it by Baba Shuaiba, but that if what you said there is accurate, then yeah, that would be an error, and I'll bring it to his attention, and I'm sure he will fix it if that's the thing. So, ولا تصلي على أحد منهم مات, and do not ever reach out to anyone dying among them. ولا تصلي على أحد منهم مات أبدا. ولا تقم على قبره, nor shall you stand over his grave. Yeah, you're right. This is an issue 984. Let me just send my good brother now. Where is he? Right here. Peace, brother. Peace. All right, dude. Cool. Peace, brother. Why does 984 say dying instead of died? There you go. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, and I'll see what Baba Shuaiba has to say. But yeah, with things like that, he either has an explanation, because he did underline it, so he might have seen something in the grammar. But I do agree with you; it should be died. God does not inflict. Okay, cool. Do you believe it? Okay, we've seen that. I won't agree with the free will. There is no. Okay, bro. I'll show you what I mean by free will. Okay. Without free will, I don't agree. Without free will, there is no point to the experiment we are in. Exactly. So yes, sorry. I do agree with you that there is free will. Okay, so for example, God says, how can I say it? For me, with this phone, okay, to put it on my ear and talk, okay, so this is what this phone is designed for, right? And then with this device, to stick it in the wall, and to charge, right? So that's the two objects that's in front of me, receiver and thing in the wall. What free will is taking this and throwing it at somebody, right? Or taking the speaker and putting it to the wall where it doesn't belong, where what like it's that action does not belong to what that device is supposed to be doing. So I had the will to go against what God has designed it for. So this is something that I said before, like you you're supposed to kiss the baby and kick the ball, but you have the ability to kick the baby and kiss the ball. You see what I'm saying? That's truly what free will is. God has told you what he's expecting from you with every object, with every interaction, with everything that is going on with your life, but you have the choice to do whatever you want. But there's a consequence for every action. So free will is very important. What about cigarettes? Smoking, it can cause cancer. You might die out, and if you are lucky, you might not. But there are people who don't smoke cigarettes and will get cancer. Okay, yes, cancer is because of the pollution of what people have done to this world over the years. This whole concept of a corporation, and how the corporation is super corrupted. This is what really killed us in regards to that cancer stuff. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Abdul. I don't think free will exists. You can't force yourself to want something. You can try, but don't forget, we say inshallah. Inshallah, yeah. Like if God allows it, bi'idhnallah is more so set than inshallah, because God has already willed for you to have that choice. Freedom of choice. So you can will, but you cannot will except of what God has willed. So your freedom of will, right? Your freedom of choice, your freedom of will is limited, as God's freedom of will is unlimited. So God gave you the like 6 things, for example, and you could will one thing at a time, right? But those 6 things is what God has willed for you. But whatever you pick, that's on you, because then it wouldn't be fair if you go to hell, because then God willed that for you. No. Akida. Akido. If there's no free will, okay. Discussion about free will. All right, guys, I have to catch up with this. How can we DM you, brother? Peace Finder. I do have a Telegram, so I'll post my Telegram. Oh, here, guys, just join my Telegram. You'll also see a link for a discussion board. In the discussion board, you'll find me there. My name on Telegram is the same as here, not here. This is my Telegram group, but in YouTube, I have my name, Muhammad from God. That is where you will find me on Telejob. How can we DM you? Please continue Quranic. Brother, I will. That I will. Thank you, man. So, right recently, because of the situation in Syria and dealing with whatever happened, guys, it was an interesting go. I'll tell you that. Man. But, yeah. Syria's in trouble. That's all I can amount to. But yeah, so I'm back to my mission. I tried to do what I can do here, but there's not much of people that listen. They're actually the new generation, the young generations understand the message, but the people who are taking a hold, like I was driving yesterday with somebody, and we get to a checkpoint. They're nice at the checkpoint, but one of the guys is rocking an ISIS flag on his BDU, battle dress uniform. So he's rocking an ISIS flag. And the people who are giving the sermons, the Friday sermons now, are from the people who liberated this country. And they're very, very harsh and very extreme in the way that they're presenting what Islam is. So they are very Al-Qaeda and very ISIS-y in the way that they describe certain things. But they're just a very washed down version of them, where they're not going to kill you on the spot, but we don't like you, so you're going to have problems. And this is going to show itself eventually, because now they're trying to not be so ISIS-y so that the West would take off the sanctions and take off whatever else. But it's not looking very nice, especially because they don't know what the Quran says. So Syria right now, but I'm leaving Syria in the next few hours, really. God knows when. But I'm gonna start working really hard again on the online, but I have a few plans, and there's a lot more in the offline as well. It is my sister Ashley. Peace, 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 peace. Does that verse mention? Do you believe it's evident that we should pray for dead Muslims? We should pray. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is. I do believe that you have to stand on somebody's grave, and at that point, you're praying to God for that person if he's a good believer, right? I like to say the Fatiha. Maybe it's more so a culture than something that God ordered, but I do pray for the dead. Yes, I do pray to God for the dead. I think it's important. Are you in Syria? Bro, yes, I am in Syria. I was here for a while. Blah, blah, blah. How will you reply to non-Muslims who say, "Why do you follow non-infallibles"? Not sure what that means. What do you mean non-infallibles? No, I think everyone's infallible. I think everyone's fallible. I'm thinking maybe I'll change my mind. It's complicated. Sorry to bother to chat. You didn't, brother. Are you in Syria? Yep, yeah, yeah, yep. Question. Peace, brother. What do you think about the Baha'i faith? It's a cluster of, it's a, like, how can I don't have much thoughts of it because the only thing I know about the Baha'i faith is pretty much a Wikipedia article, right? So I did read them. They do appreciate the Quran a lot, but they have a prophet, I believe, or the Baha book or whatever it is. Um, yeah, no, Baba Shuaiba doesn't agree with uh, the janaza prayer. That is not in the Quran. But to stand on somebody's grave and to come to the person's grave, and at that point, what are you doing? You're asking God for His forgiveness. That's prayer. But no, the Janazah thing, that's not in the Quran. What do you think about the Druze religion? Ah, well, since you asked, it's really weird. It's really corrupt. So they have a concept of resurrection in the world. So they think that there's these certain that every Druze is technically gets resurrected. But how do you add Druze? I don't know. But yeah, so they believe in resurrections. They say that they follow Elijah, I believe. Is it Elijah or Elias? One of them. I think it's Elias. That's their main prophet. Their book is a really uh, different. I don't want to say weird, but different. They try to say that they're monotheistic, but they believe in saints in a way that they reverence them in a very difficult and bad way. They have a lot of weird traditions, and it's an ethno religion rather than just a religion. When your religion is based upon ethnicity, you're going to sound like a Zionist at that point. And, well, oh, they work with the Zionists. So that's all you need to know. JS, there are certain people you aren't supposed to stand at their grave for, if I'm not mistaken. Chapter 9. Yes, we were just saying that. There's some people where they're not like God conscious people, or they turned away from battle when you were calling them towards battle and they died, and those people are done. So you're right. You see, I don't want to poke at it. I want to poke at it by, you see, when you said this, I wanted to poke at it, but it's okay. I won't. I just hope you're not trying to cause discord between me and Baba Shaiba, because there wouldn't be. Can you read the verses about Code 19? Can you read the verses about Code 19? What verses about Code 19? I don't see the word Code 19 in the Quran. I got a bone to pick with you. Quran alone is truth. I got a bone to pick with you. I heard you thinking that I'm sus. The prophet is illiterate. No, I think the prophet was illiterate. The word here, ummi, is for me is Gentile or unread, not illiterate. Unread. They don't know the book, right? So huwa alladhi ba'atha fil ummiyin. This is just a verse that we're covering in this chapter that we're going to be reading after the sermon for whoever wants to pray, which is chapter 62. God clearly states here. Oh man, I messed it up. 62. Let's go. Let me share the screen. God says here, hello, there it is. He is the one. He is the one who has sent a messenger among the Ummiyin, the unlearned from them. So are you saying that all of the people in Medina or all the people in Mecca, they're all illiterate? Because God called them Ummiyin here. They all had that word Ummi. So it clearly isn't correct. I have a bone to pick with you, bro. I have a bone to pick with you. Someone called you out. People you thought they're your friends, but they aren't your friends. What do you think about democracy, Muhammad? You think, yeah, well, democracy doesn't work in a democracy isn't going to work in a believing community because this is gonna sound really bad, but I'll tell you why. Okay, so with the believers, there can be a democracy, but within the believing community, not many believers exist in the believer community. There's a lot of submitters, but there's a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about. There's a lot of people that are so lost, but yet they do believe in God, but they just cannot get it because they have too much worldly pleasures and entertainment. But that's the majority. You see what I'm saying? So imagine if we give the public vote. So most of the time, if we have a group of 100,000 people, the vote will be incorrect. It's not going to be the best for society. It's going to be best for individuals. That's what's the problem with democracies. Now you could say that, oh, we're just picking the leader, but you're not a person that understands what is required as a leader for the community. Because if you can actually deduce that kind of information, you would be running as a leader. You see what I'm saying? This is a very harsh way of saying it, but that's the truth. So I'll give you a very good example. Children of Israel asked for a king, right? God sent a king, Talut. He is the best for the position because God picked him. What did the children of Israel say? No, he's not better than us. We don't want him. We want someone else. So if they could make a choice on who they wanted as a king, as a democracy, as a voting process, they would have put somebody who's inefficient, or someone who would not complete the job, the same way that Talut would, because the majority of them didn't want that king. They wanted someone else. And it's the same usually everywhere you go when it comes down to being a leader of a believing community. It's not about a cult leader. It's not about things. It's about the vision. So people trust somebody because of his vision. That person should have his consultants, his shura, right? But at the end of the day, you are the one who is going to be making that decision. You are responsible for that decision, and you're going to rely on God. Your consultants should be capable of influencing for God and not working for yourself, especially if your consultants are bringing information that you did not consider, but now that was brought down to you or was brought forth to you, and your plan should change because what they said is true, then you should do it. But to have a democracy is a failure in a believing community. That's what I believe is accurate because we don't have you want to have a small group of people choosing a leader, a small group of very wise and in tune believers pick a leader. Sure, I can appreciate that. To have a whole society with all the weirdos and the criminals and the disbelievers and the deluded people also have a vote in it. Well, the majority of the world is like that, so they're gonna vote somebody like them. That's the simple truth. Da, 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 da. You think it's a cause, you know, that some people in parliament and they make rules for you, and the only ruler is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. God is not the only ruler. God gives the ruling like the mulk to whom he pleases. So we had kings like King Solomon and King David. We had rulers such as the prophet and certain messengers as well. So to think that God is the one who's judging, God is the one who creates the rules, correct? But he assigns rulers for humans. Hmm. I'm on to you, bro. Hey, 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 Quran alone is truth. I can't believe I'm about to say this to you. But can you tell me where Mecca is? Huh? Huh? Bro, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. The Saudi Dawah is destroying Islam. Saudi Dawah is destroying Saudi. The Sunni Dawah is destroying us. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Sorry. How can they all be illiterate? Your WhatsApp isn't working. Yeah, because I'm in Syria. Give me a sneak peek of your plans in real life. I'm going to take over Jerusalem. How's that go? Then how would you choose a leader in this believing community? The leader will show himself. That's pretty much it. And a leader can appreciate the other leaders. But as a community, you're going to have multiple leaders, as they did many, many, many times. Yes, you might have one person who is leading a bigger portion of the community, but that's up to God and giving the success to whom He wants as a leader. Because truthfully, there are many world leaders in this world, but they're a product of circumstance rather than God's intervention. A believer who's working for God and who has God on his mind constantly, God is assisting him against said world leaders. He's assisting him against certain people. But a messenger is different because a messenger does not require a leadership position, but he gets a leadership position naturally, correct? And a person where God wants to put him as a king or as a leader, that person has to excel over the others. And he has to be working for the prophet. That's all I can say without having to go ponder deeply. The prophet himself is not here. Obviously, the prophet passed away, and you're not going to talk to the prophet. But if you are under the prophet's collective, we are Muhammad. See what I'm saying? Our believing community, we are Muhammad. Just like how they are Israel, but we are also Israel if you're a child of Israel. See what I'm saying? We are Abraham because Abraham was a community. See what I'm saying? So we are already having a leader, which is our prophet. Well, the Sunnah, bro. No, I mean, with the book and the mentality. That mentality has conquered. Try to message me, inshallah, if you recover it. It's not about recovering. Where's Mecca, bro? Lead by example. Hey, alhamdulillah. All right. Mean don't mean can't read. It means people who don't know the books of God. Excellent, man. Are Quranists? Bro, Abdullah, why are these questions? Are Quranists libertarians? Does it look like I'm fighting for liberty? Do I want to liberalize the word? I'm a librarian. I have only one library, and that library has only one book that I read, but it has a few other books as well. Is the scale of the sins judgeable based on the Quran? For example, is worse than. I don't think it's that simple. What's your favorite Islamic kingdom? David. Solomon is really, really strong, but I like David's kingdom. He just you see what I did there, guys? See what I did there, guys? This guy doesn't like us. He's here to explore, but he doesn't like us. I don't believe he's going to change his mind, except if what God wills. But he's asking me in regards to post Prophet Muhammad. I never understood the how can they put numerical values? I'm not sure what you're saying. Was the one thing you could suggest person who entered God's faith who's reverted? At this point, you need to practice the Quran and try to contextualize it to you and the people around you. People have this error where they try to force the Quran on how Prophet Muhammad lived or what Prophet Muhammad was going through, and this is why these verses are revealed. This is not what the Quran is about. The Quran is about for you to read it and see how it's true in the people around you. And if you see yourself in the verse and it's in a bad way, you should fix yourself, because after God threatens you with a verse where you could apply it to yourself, God is also giving you the solution. The Quran is to help you give your mind peace and to live in a world that does not seem that it's peaceful, but for you to be able to move and maneuver as a human being in a very easy, efficient, and a good way. And you're God's servant. God's servant means you're God's slave, you're God's worker. You can work or you cannot work. The more you work, the more God loves you, the more God likes you, and the more that God gives you so that you will work harder. With that said, you're in God's mansion. So how are you going to make God's mansion better? There's some people that need help them. There's trees that are broken, fix them, replant them. There's animals that are hurt, help heal them. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of work to be done, especially in this day and age, because the majority of the world is not working for God. They're working for their own pockets or someone else's pocket. Be a good servant of God. That's what's next. Let's talk. It was X Force. Hmm. 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 Bro, why are you so disgusting? Is Jerusalem holy in the Quran? Yeah, المدينة التي قدسنا لها العالمين. Yeah, the city that we made holy for the mankind. Man, you guys are so weird, bro. You're so weird. Like you're so weird. Like so weird, guys. How do you wipe your butt according to the Quran? You need the Sunnah, bro. How is the Quran enough if it doesn't tell you how to wipe your butt? Huh? You don't know how to wipe your butt? Ah, saw a Shia make a video terming Salafist as part Quranist. Yeah, all right, bro. Cool. Do you believe all hadith prophecies about talent? Nah, man, I don't need to hear them. Some of them, if they come true, it doesn't really change anything. And some of them have come true many, many times. So Amr Wolves has been really, really busy. Right. Are you going to the North Pole anytime recent? Anytime soon, bro? Hey, come on, bro. Come on. Come on. What are your thoughts on philosophy? I love philosophy. Quran has its own ultimate philosophy. Falsafi in Arabic means I believe the love of knowledge is falsafi. So it's like medicine is a falsafi, biology is a falsafi, which is all philosophy at the end. Philosophy is just, I believe, the art of knowledge is what I mean. So philosophy is important, but when you want to talk about like the philosophy of mind, that's literally what to me a Quran is. The Quran is both philosophy and a book of psychiatry. And apparently, psychiatry means your soul. I wasn't kidding. Okay, whatever, bro. I don't want to hear you. Yeah, you see. Do you think the Quran, guys? You see, man, I can read them like a book, but when I give them an answer, okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna teach you guys something. This is for people to really understand. And this is a difficult, very difficult concept. Now, God does not need me. God does not use me for punishment. But in your chains of loyalty, as you're being loyal to God, we don't know who his soldiers are, but we strive to be his soldiers. Now, God told us to honor a certain group of people, which we call prophets. Okay? Prophets. Understand me? And when somebody is coming to you, attacking you in your religion in a very passive, aggressive, or a very nonchalant like way of trying to demean you by demeaning your words and the religion of God, you could set that person up for him to get hurt without him realizing he got hurt. So on the day of judgment, as they made fun of you, you intellectually destroyed him in front of the eyes of God, but he didn't realize it. So that he keeps pulling himself down into the pain on the day of judgment because he wants to keep making fun of you. So this gentleman very easily asked me in a condescending way, what's your favorite Islamic kingdom? I answered it was the kingdom of King David, right? But to him, this is not a good enough answer because his focus is on Prophet Muhammad and Islam is after Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad is everything. So anyone who follows Prophet Muhammad, to him in his mind, is automatically better than King David because we don't talk about King David. What's King David got to do with it? That's not what I'm asking you. I gave him one of the best kings that walked on this earth, who is a Muslim king, who does represent Islam as good as Prophet Muhammad. Okay, because David was spoken about in a way that is very, very highly in the Quran. You understand me? Like he got the song, he got the records, he got the songs, and husnul khitab, like he could talk in a very articulate way. David is a very blessed king. David is a very blessed prophet. That is one of my favorite kingdoms. That is Islamic. For you, you wanted me to give you a name of a nobody to me. To me, that would be a nobody. In this day and age, they would be nobodies because I have no clue who they are. I don't have no clue what they were about, nor did they judge me, nor did they rule me. I don't know them. Why do you want me to tell you about my favorite kingdom when I already did? Someone much better than what you did. But you asking this question after I told you that I know what you're talking about, you actually failed as a believer. You wanted me to put somebody above the Prophet, which I won't. Very simple. So, guys, sometimes in the way that you are defending the religion of God, you are capable of letting the persons fall with a question or with an event is just so that they could witness upon themselves that they were the ones who are needing to be made fun of instead of the other way around. I'm not saying that this guy is on purposely making fun of me, but this man is looking down at the Quranic, as he kept saying. Well said about the servant. Thanks, bro. Follow the sunnah, bro, or else you're what? Adam, follow the sunnah, bro, or else you're red. Salam, brother. How have you been? Been doing good, brother Adam. Been a long couple of months. It's okay to celebrate Christmas. Yeah, bro, you just here to waste my time. A lot if you use comments is follow the sunnah of God. Yeah, I like that. Also, David is a sinner like Muhammad. I don't want to say that, but I say they made their mistakes. Barakallah feek. I appreciate your service to Allah and Islam. Thank you, brother Hamad. Hey, hey, there he is. What's up, Zen Islam? Peace be upon you, man. People wish for my downfall. People wish that I was dead. Nah, I'm not dead. People, I saw your message. You're like, hey, bro, did this guy die? No, not yet. Was close at one point, maybe. Not really. No, I wasn't. But yeah, the bullets were not too far away. Maybe the closest bullets were flying, you could say 20 meters away. But yeah, that was how close it got. But just chill. I had children to save on that day. But yeah, we were good. King Solomon, Kingdom of Solomon, and Kingdom of Solomon and David, I think, are actually Islamic. The so-called caliphates were just made upon Muhammad's first. Okay, bro. But yeah, they are Islamic. But yeah, you're correct. There's no such thing as pre-Islamic. Adam was a Muslim, so it's pre-Islamic. The jinns were Muslim, so what's pre-Islamic? The angels were Muslim, so what's pre-Islamic, bro? Is my Wi-Fi broken? All right, guys. What is your opinion on the Golden Age type Muslims like the Mu'tazila, Ahlul Kalam, and Falsafa? Brother, I like the Mu'tazilites. I like the Mu'tazilites. They were more. They made a lot of sense. Unfortunately, a lot of their books were destroyed by Sunnis because most of what we have left is things that they are either capable of breaking it apart because the person was not very in tune with what they were saying, or we have renditions of what Sunnis read about what they did. So this is one thing that usually people do back in history is when you take over a community, you burn their library. So whatever intellect and things and propaganda they had, it all went to waste. So a lot of the Mu'tazilites documents and a lot of Mu'tazilite stuff has been destroyed. So we don't really know much of what they were. Well, we know what they're about, but we only know it through what Sunnis wrote about them, and we know how Sunnis are in history. So I have a Sunni mother and a Shia father. They both don't push their beliefs on me because they can't talk about it. I probably resonate more with your view. There's lies on both sides. Also, I like to have a structure while praying. The structure is there if you want the structure. I do appreciate structure. I made my own structure. So I stick to my own structure, and I'm very vigilant with my structure. There's times where I do go off course from my structure because I just want to pray in a certain way to my Lord. But the structure is not the number one thing that's about the prayer. But structure is important in prayer, especially if you're in congregations. Thank you for your message, though, bro. And as long as nobody is, well, if they're getting along and they have a son, I believe, then it seems like you guys are doing all right. Alhamdulillah, I mean, pre-Quranic. That works. That works. That works. Where's Mecca, bro? You haven't answered me. What do you think the world needs most today? A break. Yeah, I think the world needs a break. It would be nice if all technology stopped for a whole week. I think it will cause a lot of problems, but I think people will calm down a lot, and then they might see the reality of where it is. Obviously, the world needs God, and foremost, but God is always here, so they just don't recognize it. There is an ancient mosque in Spain where they write God's name, not Muhammad. Yep. Sunniism, Sunniism was an answer to the Mu'tazilites because the Mu'tazilites became a dominant force. So it was very difficult for a government to be a government with Mu'tazilites around. So they needed something that is more dogmatic, I think is the right word. And therefore, Sunnis and Shafi'i came along because then the government can't handle it. Salam, sooner or later. I did. Aina Mecca. Bro, still can't find Mecca. Bro, I was literally questioning the North Pole people. Bro, I got screenshots, man. You were not questioning. World needs belief in God. Yeah, but you said what the world needs. God is here. But how do we get people to believe in God? Well, God wills that. But what would be your strategy, JS? What would be your strategy to make people believe in God? Belief. The world becomes corrupted when good do nothing. Okay, I'm gonna be a bad man. I have a lot of believers around me, but I keep finding myself, and God bless those that are helping me in regards to financials. God bless you. But when it comes down to propagation, I usually keep finding myself alone, aside from Baba Shwai, and aside from a few individuals in the top of my head. There's people that support my mission a lot. I love those people, and you know exactly who you are. But as a majority, you guys are not doing much. Are you mad at me? I'm just telling you what I observed. Did Muhammad write the Quran? Yes. I am from Iran, brother. Peace. What's your thoughts about the Code 19 stuff? Waste of time. Personally, I see a lot of reaching and misinterpretation. Okay, there is some basis to the Code 19 in the Quran. Okay, they say that this proves Hafs, but it also proves Shu'ba's recitation. Okay, because they're very, very similar. And it does not deal with the actual differences in recitations. They just want to say that, oh, Hafs is right because it's just Hafs is right. But it doesn't work that way. But to go as far as to remove two verses and then now I have to take the permutations, as they say, or the exegesis of Rashad Khalifa, no, because it just does not align with the Quran. And like the basics of why he said that the Code 19 is over it, you can't prove that in the Arabic. I know he says, oh, the Quran is being protected by Code 19, but that's not what the Arabic is saying because of masculine and feminine. I have a good brother here, the hidden one. He does appreciate Rashad a lot, and he is a good like obviously he's a good person, and he appreciates my work as well. I see him often, but if you have more questions about Code 19, I think he's a little bit more fit than me in discussing it because I just know the basics. I did study at one point, not the Code 19. I studied Rashad. I had to study Rashad for me to make a judgment. Uh, it was important because I do believe in messengers after the Prophet Muhammad, and if he was a messenger, then it would have been essential for me to believe in what he said. But when it came down to the actual theology of the Quran, sorry, when it came down to the actual theology of the Quran, he was very lacking, and because of that, he could not be a messenger. When he made some critical issues or critical claims that could not be sustained by the Quran. And the way of his prayer is very Sunni, and the stuff that he said is extremely hadith based. That is because his dad was a clergy for the Sunnis. I'm not saying that's what his intentions was. I think that was just part of who he was and how he thought religion. He believed in a living tradition, but I don't believe that living tradition worked that way. But I agree. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's right. Maybe that is right. I want to be a forerunner. I try to be a forerunner, and only God knows if I am from the forerunners. But I'll try. But I also believe like just small things that some people can help with. They don't. True. Where did God ask us to look for math codes in the Quran? True. Trump posting that Netanyahu's anti. Bro, look, man. Trump is appealing to both sides, but we know what side he's sitting on. From experience, I do extra rakats during prayers when I told us. Salam alaikum, what's up, brother? How you doing? Been doing good. And that sheikh lied to you. The Quran. I do extra rakats during prayer when I told the sheikh. He said I'm sinning and shit. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's disgusting. How dare you pray more? Are you? Once someone said this to me, it's like, bro, I fasted a whole year because I want to get close to God. Do you think you're better than Muhammad? Excuse me. Do you think you're better than the Prophet? Why are you fasting every day? Because I want to get close to God. Well, the Prophet didn't fast better every day, so do you think you're better than the Prophet? Dude, calm down. No, no, I don't. Well, then don't compete with the Prophet. Okay, dude, I'm not gonna be a prophet, but I'm gonna fast every day. Yeah, sorry. God bless you too. Solution to me would be propagate the message of God. They don't believe they're lost, and God will take care of them. Yeah, that's usually what we do. Yarhamukallah. Oh, thanks. Asabana asabakumullah. Where are you currently? Syria. I can't give you the city. Will Andrew Tate make a good prime minister of the UK? Andrew Tate can't make a prime minister of his own house. Politics are just a circus for the NPC. Uh, Politics can be extremely Quranic if it's done correctly. And you can be a very strong, dominant force as a politician if you follow the rules of God in the Quran in the way that you're supposed to deal with human beings. Especially if you had a whole group of people giving you their money under the guise of tax, bro, you could be unstoppable in this world. But you have to go through a lot of pain for the first depends on the size of the country, but you could say about 4 to 5 years of really difficult pain where you do have to be a little tough. You have to be a little harsh. And then when you hold it down and you give the money back in a way that people can see it, and you grow a very, very resourceful army, then at that point, people are forced to recognize one, two, respect, and three, realize that your worldview is more dominant than your neighbors. So, yeah, I think about this stuff a lot. Brother Muhammad, last time I talked to Baba Shaib and asked him a question, he was very angry and behaved very badly and removed me. That's a problem between you and Baba Shaib. I'll run him by him, but maybe, I don't know. Does not sound like Baba, but maybe you did something that upset him. Me and Baba, when we first spoke, we weren't very he wasn't very pleased with me either. With Baba, you have to approach them in a respectful manner. If he sees that you're trying to either maybe gain something from him in a way that he does not want to give, or if you're disrespecting him, he will call you out. But I don't know. That's between you and him. Baba Shuaiba has a very bad attitude. Okay, bro, come on. No, he does not have a bad attitude. He just doesn't like people wasting his time. It's very simple. But I don't know if what happened between you two. But yeah, so I'm not. I am a woman who wants to study the Quran more. Mm, sorry, I read another comment. But hey, bro, I'm a mosquito that wants to eat. I am a woman who wants to study Quran more. Not a lot of people online who discuss this, but I don't know any of these social groups or people you guys are discussing. Is Syria a good place for a Qurani? No, no. Um, a good place for the Quranists, as people call us, is online right now. We are there. There are some spots, say in South Africa, there's a mosque that is a Quran alone mosque. There are some people in Turkey from the Turkish side with the Turkish language. They are Quran alone. In the Emirates, there's a very big community now. Thank God. But usually, you want to join some online communities. I do have my own community. It's right here. I will also post in said community, Matt, and the context based on. Pop, pop, pop. Okay, so yes, I do have to post something here. So for whoever wants to join my Telegram group, you can also join the discussion group. The discussion group is a little different than the Telegram. Let me just get the up. I'm just gonna post it. Baba Shoaib was a gangster. Sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Where is it? I should have just did something. Is this it? No. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to find this link. So it's just so that when people do join today, they'll have the opportunity to also join the. I don't have it. There it is. Okay, so for this, back to the believers group, so that they could also join this discussion group, because the discussion group is where all the magic happens, where all people come and try to debate me. Both things I'm not interested in. Gangster, yeah, he is. Ashley, all non in monotheistics. Okay, guys, are you hosting a group? Tripping? Yes, we're looking for month 6, I believe, because that's when most people are available. More information is going to be released next month after the uh, during or after Ramadan, God willing. How do you deal with negative, intrusive thoughts? I ignore them. And if my intrusive thoughts are a little too much, then at that point I'm tired. I need to sleep. Because when I sleep and wake up, I don't have my intrusive thoughts. Some intrusive thoughts are just annoying. Yes. You asked a very, man. Okay. Negative thoughts have to be dispelled with God. So, man, I'm not good enough for this. But God is with me. So I'll be fine. You took a negative thought and you put it as positive. Why? Because you put God in the picture, and God is extremely a positive force. So any negative force that you get is people don't love me, but I don't want people to be accepting of me. I want God to be accepting of me, and God loves me. Boom, negative thought, done. This person lied to me and he really hurt me and he deceived me. But God saw it, and sufficient as God is a witness. And however much this person is going to say sorry or admit to it or try to fix it, God is truly the only entity that can take this pain or hurt away from me. So I'm okay. Positive thought fixed. Intrusive thoughts, those are so intrusive thoughts are like a thought you don't want to have. It's not negative. It's like imagine a thought that's a thought that makes you horny, for lack of a better term. I mean, like something that is a lustful thought that it just keeps trying to put itself in. Those you just have to ignore, and you have to say, أعوذ بالله من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ برب أن يحضرون. I ask God, I seek refuge from the inclinations of the devil, and I seek God, I seek refuge to God for them to come. Said thoughts, right, ladies and gentlemen? That's not an intrusive thought. That's just well, it is a intrusive thought. You're right. You're driving and you want to swerve type. Use the handbrake. It just makes the car like swivel better. That's how I. Anyways, no, don't do that. I'll be letting the shaitan regime too. But God does tell us. The other one. Welcome back, brother. How have you been? I worried about you since you didn't post for some time. Bro, the internet in Syria was not the helpful. I'm still in Syria and it's still not that helpful. I have to use a VPN. But with that, ladies, what do you think of Mufti Abu Laif? Not much to think. He's a good person. I don't agree with his take in regards to miracles, but overall, he's a okay individual. I think he's a good person. I tried to someone tried to have him have a conversation with me. He just doesn't want to talk to me, which is fine. You should make a rap diss track on Imam P Diddy. No, no, my rap is not to diss P Diddy's. There's a lot of them. Thanks for all the replies. I'll be leaving now. Glad you're back. All the best. Thank you, G Unit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to come to an end. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. I do have to sign off. I have to travel in less than 5 hours, and I need to, and I need to have some beauty sleep. It's very nice to talk to everybody again. I'm going to be focusing on making some videos again, but we might see a little bit of different taste. There is a group of people. The challenge for them to debate me is always open. Okay, non-rituals. Where is Mecca? All of those people, all of these weird theorists. You are more than welcome to always send me an email or drop me a Telegram invite to my own platform on this channel for us to have a discussion whenever you want. I know you don't have the courage to do so, but this is always an open opportunity as long as I'm alive and as long as I'm doing videos on YouTube. But I will no longer discuss you people again. For the simple fact is that it's a waste of time. You guys, in my opinion, have failed to see the basis of what the relationship of God entails. And you don't have a problem sitting all night talking with a significant other or talking with your friend because if you're lonely or discussing something with somebody or watching a movie for 4 hours. But you think that I have a problem because I want to spend 4, 5, 6 hours talking to my God in a way that's ritualistic, in a way that I can find myself coming closer to God. And not only that, but the amount of delusions that you spread in confusion, that if two of you face me, you would end up arguing while me and Baba Shuaiba in the same room, we would not argue, despite us having some slight differences. But the differences among you people, it's extraordinary because you just truly do not understand how much damage you're doing to yourself and to my community. Do you know why I said my community? Because it triggers you. Because I am part of this bigger community. And as we're not welcome in your community, in your eyes, since you guys wanted to throw the first rocks, and you're the ones who wanted to wage wars and to call us names like semi-Sunnis and call us mushriks and all this other nonsense you guys love to come up with. The simple fact is you guys are not even worth our time. We are your core bane of existence because every time something good befalls upon us, you guys don't want something good to befall upon us. While hey, the door is open to you. Go explore. Let's see how God's going to make you extremely successful in your nonsense and your deluded methodologies that you keep trying to push to the world. We're going international. Me and Baba Shuaib, we're going international, offline. You understand me? The Turkish government, me and them, we were just sitting here watching Baba Shuaiba's videos because they seemed to stumble upon it when they were looking at my channel. So people are getting aware of what this movement is about. they're loving this movement because all of this sectarianism and Iran versus Saudi Arabia and these Shia versus Sunni versus Christians in Lebanon, the solution for them is just the Quran. So when they see somebody who's capable of really defending the religion for what it is and not coming up with basic Arabic terminology errors or basic Arabic like grammar errors, they take us seriously. You can't even get past that point. So that said, this is the last time I'm going to waste my time on you and give you a warning, a fair warning that you guys are just a waste of time. But I'm done wasting my time on you. You guys have fun, make fun of me though, and you have all the fun trying to point us and pull us down. But we'll keep looking down at you as you keep trying to look up to us. But with that said, Mecca's in Saudi Arabia, modern day Saudi Arabia, the Hijaz area. That's where you find Mecca. If you open a map and you'll see Mecca in the city, and right there on the map, you see where it says Mecca. That's exactly where Mecca is. Just so you know, because you know what? That's a given. That's a given. It would be very unfair for God to say, "Hey, by the way, go to Mecca if you can find your way." Right? Oh, well, find your way means find the city. No, it means if you have a way to get there, you have the money, you have the access, you have a method to get to Mecca. But for God to say to get to Mecca and you don't know where Mecca is, and at that point, God is very, what is it, oppressive. Because God says that whoever has a way, he has the means. If he doesn't go, you know what that means? That means God is free of you. You failed. But with that said, I have a prayer to make. How's that go? Yeah, imagine me starting this YouTube channel pretty much with a Shamsi video saying, "Where's Mecca?" And then I end up with a Quran alone community saying to me, "Where's Mecca?" Well, Mecca's in Saudi Arabia. That's where I've always been. And yeah, I love that city. God's city. I'll see you guys there, inshallah. Peace.